friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I wanted to show you today a quick trick that I used. I just kind of came up with for basically a surrogate mother for my baby chicks. Now, the original idea was sent to me by Angie, and it was somebody who had taken feather dusters and stuck them into the cage with the chicks. And I was like, well, that's a really cool idea. However, feather dusters can be pretty expensive. I know, because at least around here, they're really expensive. I don't know why. I mean, I was able to get a wool one for much cheaper than a feather one. What I came up with is, and this will go right along in my list with things to do with scrap fabric. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link to it right up here. There was a couple other things I left out of there. I knew when I was filming it that I was leaving out some ideas, and one of them was making a cover for jars when for fermenting things, like specifically making vinegar or anything that I just need to cover, but the items need to get air, so oxygen. Anyway, all you need to do is find some fabric scraps that you have. I recommend flannel because it's going to be very soft, it's very easy to rip, and it's cotton, it's a natural fabric. Don't get like there are flannels that you can get that are not 100% cotton, so try to find 100% cotton. Now, when we go garage sailing, anytime that I see cotton flannel sheets, I pretty much don't even care what they look like. I buy it because it's, $1 to $2 for several yards of flannel fabric that can be used in so many different ways. It's the one fabric I find the most uses for. Like, one of the other things I didn't mention in that video, at least I think I didn't mention, was these are the kind of fabrics I use for lining the feminine napkins to put in there to make extra padding. These kind of things like this can work great for that. So if you already have some just flannel you don't know what to do with, or you have some scraps that are in long strips, this is what I recommend you do. Now, I'm going to show you a couple pictures here. The chicks, they got it in there right now and I can show you, but they're busy playing around right now. So I'm showing a picture. It's not very pretty, the thing that I made, because I was trying to just quickly throw something together to see if it was even going to be doable. And it took them a couple of days to warm up to it, but then once they did, they started cuddling right up with that surrogate mother, and it's working good. Now, if I was to do it again, which I'm actually going to do right now, I would make it I'd put more fabric scraps in there. I'd have it be a little fuller and try to make it look just a little bit nicer, but it really doesn't matter. It's just going in the pen with the chicks, and who cares? They don't care what it looks like. They just want something warm and soft to cuddle against. So all you need is figure out how long you need your strips to be. This is actually pretty long right here. It depends on how high up on that you're gonna hang it from, because unlike the feather duster where you can just set it down in there, you're going to need to actually suspend this and hang it from something. So figure out how long you need it to be. What I did was simply just grabbed fabric and started ripping it in strips, and then figured out the length I needed after that. So it's super easy to do. And then figure out about your width. I would say about 1-inch pieces or less. So this is the same idea as making ripping fabric for making the baskets, the hand crochet baskets, which I'll link to right up here. So then all you need to do, I don't really even measure it out, I just eyeball it. I just start making little snips along the fabric like this. And after I get all the way down, they're not all going to be equal. Again, it's not that big a deal unless you're just really concerned about how it looks. And then just start ripping them, starting from those various strips, starting from this end, and just start ripping. And it will rip in a straight line. Now, if you start on an end that's been pre-cut, then it's probably the first piece you rip off may not rip off straight. But once you have that straight line established, the rest of the pieces will rip nice and straight for you. And so just keep doing that, and then kind of bunch them up every so often. And like, these are going to be, for the length I would need, I only need it to be that long. So I will just double these over, and then I'll have 4 dangling strips for each one long strip that I have. And so periodically bunch it up to figure out how thick you really want it to be, and then just keep adding. You could make even 2 or 3 of these if you have a whole lot of chicks, and you know, just kind of scatter them around, hang them all in different places around in their little cage. So I'm going to continue ripping this, and then I'll show you what I do next once I get all the pieces I want ripped out. All right, one thing I want to show you that I just now figured out is that if you've got several little snips like this, you can save yourself just a little bit more time by, you can see how I have 3 here? Fold these 2 so that they're together, and then grab this one and pull it, and you will have ripped out 2 at the same time. So watch this. I rip this, and then this one that was on the end is freed down that way. Okay, and again, so I've got, as long as you have at least 2 snips, fold that like that, grab that one, that tab in the center, and just pull that one. Making sure that you're holding the outside strip and then the next strip over, or the main body of fabric. I recommend you rip them long to begin with, because you don't want your strip, you don't want it to be at the ends up here and down here. You want it to fold over. You want it to have a loop at the top. So make sure that you rip it at least twice the length that you actually want it to be. Okay, so then what you want to do next is grab all your strips, put them together, just grab any end and put them together like this. It doesn't matter if it's perfectly even. Try to get it somewhat even, but it really doesn't matter, because you're most likely going to be trimming the ends off anyway. And so just keep doing that until you have all of your strips in your hand gathered up like this. So I'm going to keep moving on with this, and I will come back when I'm ready for the next step. Okay, so once you have all your pieces together like this, then go ahead and figure out how long you really want it, and look at, if you've got varying lengths like I do here, you can either go by the shortest length, fold it in half like that, and then just cut it off right here. Or if there's enough of this longer length, you could try folding and folding again, as long as you make sure at the top that there's folds up here and no ends up here. That's going to be important, because you're going to want it like this. Okay, so once you have this all folded over the way you want it, stick a crochet hook or some kind of stick in through those loops to make sure you keep them all separated. Then take one of, I should have told you to leave one of your strips free, or you can just rip out another strip, and then wrap it around, try to get it kind of even, and then wrap it around very tightly. Wrap it around twice and tie it in a knot like this right here on one of these 2 sides. And tie it very tightly. You want that to hold. So I'm going to tie it in a tight knot, and now with this hook I'm going to pull one end through here, and then I'm going to come over from this other side and pull the opposite end through this way. Okay, and now this tie is serving 2 purposes. It's holding this all together, and it's giving me something that I can tie to whatever it is. Like I got a dog crate for the chicks, so I just tied it to the top, one of the metal pieces across the top of the cage. So now what I'm going to do is I want to make sure, I want to get this kind of even, and I want to make sure that all the little loops that are down here get cut through. Now it's not entirely important that these are absolutely even on the bottom. You just want to make sure there are no loops down here is the big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut like I'm doing a haircut. You're going to want some good sharp sewing scissors for this. And long ones like this, not the little short ones I was using. And then after you get it the length you want it, just go through and make sure all your loops are cut through. Otherwise they can get hung up on there. Now sometimes they'll still get hung up in some loose threads with their claws, but they figure out how to get themselves out. So it's, you know, it's really not a big deal. Okay, and I'll go ahead and trim some of these little weird pieces here. Again, I'm not worried about it being perfectly even. You can see I've got some short pieces here. So there we go. There's a little surrogate mother, and you can make it thicker if you want, or just make several of these and hang them right next to each other, or in different corners of their little pen. Okay, well, I hope you liked my little surrogate mother idea, and if you decide to give it a try, let me know how it works for you. All right, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.